It's been 6 months since Hurricane Beryl, so why are some people still waiting for FEMA aid? I have answers and how you can get help with your claim.
Is your goal to be financially free in the new year? I'm consumer reporter Steve Noviello. It's time for a little tough love next.
Well, how about traveling without having to pay for lodging? You know, more travelers are home swapping and they are saving big. And if that's not for you, we're going to show you how some other folks are living on cruise ships, enjoying a lower cost of living than they did on land. And welcome to Dollars and Cents. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your host, Heather Sullivan. Now, you know my promise. Give me 20 minutes. You will learn at least one way to save money on this show, avoid scams, and make some smart money moves. Now, it's been 6 months since Hurricane Beryl devastated our region. We've been hearing from some folks who had damaged homes, were put out, or just had to buy a generator to get through that long power outage. But they're still waiting for the FEMA aid that they applied for. So what's the holdup? Well, we got some answers and what you can do if you are still waiting on a claim.
I think it was mid-morning and the power went out. And then I'm thinking, oh, wow, hope it comes on soon, because I've got the refrigerator freezer here and a freezer full of food out in the garage.
Because Joe and Patty Callahan live in a remote area, they stock up on food they find on sale and store it in their freezers.
Because we live so far, we buy stuff on sale and pack a refrigerator because it's a trek to the grocery store. So we've got an investment in our food.
So when the power went out for days after Hurricane Beryl, Joe bought a generator for a cool $1,000 to keep the freezers running. FEMA announced it would reimburse Texans up to $629 who had to purchase or rent generators between July 5th and July 20th of last year in designated counties, waiving its usual requirement that they be for medical equipment. Callahan applied, but is still waiting, and has learned his application is being handled by the Texas Health and Human Services Commission rather than FEMA.
We're stuck with waiting for a caseworker to look at the claim. And that's been going on for 6 months now.
So we reached out to FEMA, which tells us it's continuing to partner with the state of Texas to process 1.5 million applications for FEMA assistance. Then we asked the Texas Health and Human Services Commission about the delays, which writes, once a claim is approved, it's processed for payment. Claims that are unable to be approved are added to a FEMA casework queue for HHSC to review and resolve. HHSC has an 18-month timeline to resolve cases. And it tells us Mr. Callahan's case is in the queue and HHSC staff are working to resolve all cases as quickly as possible. But the long wait leaves the Callahans concerned not just for their own application, but for others also waiting for FEMA aid.
It just amazes me that it would take so long, because they don't need it 6 months from now, they need it now.
So FEMA and HHS both say that applicants with questions can reach out to them. So I have the phone numbers, the email addresses, and the websites all on Sullivan Smart Sense on fox26houston.com. And while we're talking weather events, you know, you may have some damage to your home from our recent snowstorm and freeze and not even know it. So we consulted an expert on how to check your home for damage. Yeah, we certainly know from the 2021 freeze that many homes' pipes are not insulated in this area and they can burst. But there are some other issues as well that your home may have after this week's snowstorm. So joining me is Paul Puente. He's with the Houston Gulf Coast Building and Construction Trades Council. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Heather. How are you?
Okay, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Let's start here. Let's start with the pipes, because we know that's still an issue. Obviously, no insulation, multiple days of those hard freezes this week. What do homeowners need to know?
Do a visual check on your in your house, your ceilings. It'll show some wet spots, or there'll be sagging of your sheetrock. Also, get into your attic. You'll see small pinholes in your pipes. You'll need to get a professional plumber to come out there and fix those pipes. My suggestion is there's a plumber 911 program. You can find a qualified plumber out there to come to your home, and I would ask to see their license. Don't be afraid to ask for the license.
Okay. What are some other areas of the home that we should be checking for possible damage?
Also, roof leaks. Our homes aren't designed to withstand a lot of weight on top of our roof, especially if you've had damage during the hurricane. Um, It'd be a good thing to do is to do a visual check inside your attic. A day that's very sunny, you'll see the light come through your attic, and you'll know where to fix. At the same time, it's also visual inspection to kind of look. Try not to get on top of your roof. You don't want anybody to slip and fall. And then be careful inside your attic and staying on top of the rafters and not on the sheetrock, because you could fall through.
And how about our gutters? Can our gutters handle all of this snow melt coming off the roof?
Right. So our gutters aren't designed to withstand the type of weight that the snow has put on them. So be careful. Leave the snow, let it melt on its own. If you do see that it's collapsing, stay away from it. Make sure that you put some type of barricade to ensure that your family members don't walk underneath it until it's all melted, and then you can repair it later.
Okay. And so it sounds like while the weather's good, it's a good time to check out your home for any potential damage and get it fixed.
Yes, ma'am. It'd be a good time to do a visual inspection around your house, including your spigots, faucets outside. Make sure that they're wrapped when the storm is on its way. And if you're going to leave out of town, turn your water off, turn your sprinklers off, and it'll prevent you from having any surprises when you get back home from a trip.
Great information. Paul Puente with the Houston Gulf Coast Building and Construction Trades Council. Thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to talk to everyone.
You bet. Now, if you do need to make home repairs, the Better Business Bureau is warning you to watch out for scam contractors. Every time we have a major weather event, they start receiving complaints about scammers posing as contractors who take your money and run or leave you with shoddy, unfinished work. The BBB says these are the red flags that you need to watch out for. Someone who's putting pressure on you to hire them right away, asking for full payment up front, and going door to door looking for business.
We hear people paying several $1,000s. Usually if it's a scam, they will pay that amount up front, and then the scammer will not return at all to do the job. They'll just take the money and go. Or in some cases, they will enter the home and they may steal certain items too. So we've seen that type of scenario happen as well. So it can really be a very scary situation.
Sure can. So here are tips to check out a contractor before you hire one. You want to file a claim with your insurance company first, because the insurer will verify what repairs are needed. For burst pipes, you can check out a plumber's license with the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. You can check out other specialist licenses with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Now, Texas does not require general contractors to be licensed, but you can verify that they're bonded with the Texas Department of Insurance. You also want to check for any complaints with the Better Business Bureau and the State Attorney General. Up next, we're going to show you how to travel the world for a whole lot less while staying in some really nice places. Ever consider doing this? Swapping homes? It's actually becoming an increasingly popular way to travel the world on a fraction of the cost. People say they're staying in comfortable homes that really give them a sense of life in the community. The cost can be as low as $0. So would you try it? Oliviana Calms checks it out.
Home swappers I spoke with said it's better for the earth and it encourages you to try places you've never heard of.
Once you do your first exchange, you're hooked.
Tina Anthon says she wants to live like a local when she travels. Home swapping lets her do that and find hidden gems.
Donegal, Ireland. It's a very remote part of Ireland that's very wild and along the coast. The exchange there, I never heard of it. And we went there, she had a guide of must-see places, and it was amazing. I absolutely, it's one of my favorite places I've ever traveled to.
She says exchanging her home opens up her family's world.
We didn't feel guilty if we had to slow down versus if we were paying for a hotel or an Airbnb.
She says it's easy to look for kid-friendly spaces like hers when looking for matches.
People
sometimes are nervous thinking that their house needs to be perfect, and it doesn't.
A few different companies help coordinate these swaps.
Home swapping has been skyrocketing in popularity over the past few years, especially since the pandemic, as travel costs have increased and also people's flexibility and desire to travel has increased.
In 2024, we have 78% more homes on people like us. People are starting to be a little bit fed up with the, cookie cutter rentals.
The biggest pull for many is the price tag.
Yeah, you definitely save money. So like this is the link to their house. If we click on it, it goes to the website.
A search bar and listings introduce newcomers to homes around the world, including Tina's home in St. Louis.
They're surprised how much there is to do in St. Louis. I still think it's going to be like a niche way to travel. I won't travel any other way now.
Those platforms do charge a small membership fee, but hosts never exchange money. And top places in the U.S. include places like LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, and more. In St. Louis, Missouri, Oliviana Kelmes, Fox News.
Okay, so if swapping your home isn't quite your thing, well, how about living full-time on a cruise ship? More people are setting sail. They're seeing the world, and they're enjoying a lower overall cost of living on a boat than they would on land. And we caught up with one family that's trying it out. Sorry. Meet Christiane Klein, her husband Dan, and their 6-year-old daughter Livia. They're hopping aboard a growing trend, living long-term on a cruise ship.
What do you think, Livy?
They're touring New Zealand and Australia for 2 months. The biggest benefit? Not having to cook or buy groceries.
And so much of our budget personally, we live in Las Vegas, it's food. Food is a giant part of our budget. So knowing that all of those things are fixed, we're on the Regent 7 Seas Explorer. Regent, everything is included.
But the question is life on a cruise ship cheaper or more expensive?
It really depends on what you do and what your budget is. Way I lived in New York and Washington, D.C., this is far more affordable.
Since they'll be back in 2 months, they kept their home and cars. But some long-term cruisers sell or rent theirs out. And they did have to buy travel health insurance.
I was concerned that was going to be a huge expense. It wasn't nearly as painful as we thought that it was going to be.
They chose to add international calling to their cell phone plan.
If we were doing this permanently, we would probably switch carriers. We would look for something that worked more either in the area of the world that we were going to be sailing to or internationally in general.
They're relying on the ship's Wi-Fi as they both work remotely and post on their travel blog, foodfamilytravel.com. But they also cut some costs.
We did cancel a lot of subscriptions. So sorry, Netflix, you're gone for a few months. A lot of those streaming services we canceled.
And their advice to anyone considering life at sea?
You might want to take a 1-month trip. See if you like it. See what you miss and what you don't miss. Can you live without Amazon deliveries for a month? That was another thing. It was like, oh my gosh, we get a lot of Amazon. No problems. It hasn't phased us at all.
So living on a cruise ship can cost you anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 a year. It really depends on the cabin type, the length of the cruise, your destination, and the amenities. There are cruise lines that are designed for long-term living, or you can also book a series of trips on different ships. Now we got a question for you. How's the financial New Year's resolution going? Steve Noviello joins us next with actual ways to turn that goal into reality through a little tough love. So you probably started the year with a resolution to save more and spend less. You're not alone. So did everybody else in America. But are you doing it? Well, Steve Noviello with Fox 4 in Dallas is helping you turn your wish into a solid plan.
Let's go ahead and start by traveling back in time all the way to 2009 when the top financial resolution for those surveyed by Fidelity Investments was to have more money, save more, spend less, right? In fact, that was also their goal in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16. In fact, for the last 16 years, it's been the goal every single year. So what's the problem here? Well, it sounds like everyone's got a goal, but no plan. And you've heard me say before, a goal without a plan is simply a wish. So how do you convert it into a plan? You need some sort of concrete identification and plan of action, right? Spend less, save more, pay down debt. Those are nice ideas, but what are you going to do in terms of the action that you take? You know, I look back to my early 20s when I got into a little bit of trouble with some credit card debt, right? I was spending way more than I was earning. So what was the plan of action? I committed to automatically paying off that balance every single time that I got a paycheck. Money went to paying it down, and time over time, it got paid off, and that was that, right? Spending less money, okay, on what? What specifically each day are you going to skip? Every time you spend money, you're either walking toward your financial freedom or you're walking away from it. Yes, there are circumstances beyond your control. In fact, according to Fidelity, the focus in 2025 is a renewed interest in short-term savings, likely due to record inflation. Everyone's emergency fund has been eaten up, so we need to replenish that as well. Now, I know that there are some of you watching who say, listen, Steve, I don't have a penny. I am already, maxed out here on my budget. There is no room at all. So here's the tough love part. I want you to put down the takeout food, and I want you to tell me that again. I want you to put down the vape pen. I want you to put down that Coke you just bought in the vending machine and tell me again how you have no money. I had a girlfriend of mine who asked me to sit down with her and do some financial planning. She said, Steve, my budget is maxed out. I have no money to pay off my debt. And I said, listen, I love you, but I have known you long enough to know you are not a natural blonde. And until I can see some roots growing out of the top of your head, I don't want to hear about how you have no extra money. Well, guess what? She cut out those expensive hair dye jobs, and now she has financial freedom. Every little bit helps. I know it seems overwhelming, but even a little at a time is enough to get you out of debt. Here's the deal. You need to have an accurate self-appraisal of what you are spending your money on. So every day for the next week, I want you to write down every single thing that you spend money on. If you do it, I want you to do it again for the next week. If you're successful with that, I want you to keep going until you have a month-long inventory on paper. The answers will jump off the page at you, right? You will be able to see where you are wasting money. But just to make sure, there is one final step. Find a friend who you trust. Let them tell you where you can cut money, because right now, frankly, your own self-appraisal is broken. If you don't have a friend like that, go ahead, post your list to social media. You can even tag me if you want. I guarantee you there are an untold number of complete strangers on the internet who will be more than happy to tell you exactly what you're wasting your money on. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
And that is some valuable 2 cents. All right, fitness machines and technology, they help us track our workouts. But is your treadmill tracking you? What you need to know before you hop on. For many people, smart exercise equipment like bikes and treadmills are a game changer when it comes to staying in shape and tracking fitness goals. But as Duarte Geraldino with Fox 5 in Miami shows us, a new study finds the companies behind the smart equipment may be sharing that data, which could in turn make you vulnerable to hackers.
A recent Consumer Reports investigation found companies offering on-demand workouts often collect a lot of personal information. We're talking about sensitive health data like your heart rate, weight, even information about your reproductive health. And this information, it is not protected by HIPAA laws.
All equipment that you use that's going to be of any value to you today, especially if it's using any version of AI, is going to need as much data as possible.
Shelley Palmer is a professor of advanced media.
The question is, do you trust the company, and what are they going to do with it after they're done helping you?
Consumer Reports looked at 10 fitness brands and found they all collect information like your weight, gender, age, workout info, and even details about your diet, injuries, and shoe size. The real concern is when your equipment is connected to other apps. Your workout machine starts to know how you sleep, your social media, your web browsing. Some companies even ask to record how you smell.
So it's not so much that they want to know how much you smell. They can use that information to socially engineer.
Cybersecurity expert Robert Siciliano warns cyber thieves could go after this valuable new source of data.
They can use that information against you to make you think it's the exercise company so that they can get you to cough up credit card numbers, social security numbers, any personal identifying information that might lead to financial fraud.
Some equipment even keeps an audio-visual recording of your workout. Shelley Palmer thinks the risk is small.
Nobody is going to steal your individual data and care that you ran an extra quarter mile today, or that you lifted an extra 20 pounds, or that, in fact, you're doing anything in particular. That data is just not useful to anyone but you.
So read the fine print before you agree to the terms of use. Adjust your privacy settings and be careful about which apps you connect to your fitness equipment. Duarte Geraldino, Fox 5 News.